Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you our final recap of the 2022 NFL season. All season long, our Nation Sports Show brought to you our score predictions, analysis of every single regular season, postseason games, and now Super Bowl 57 in Phoenix, Arizona, featuring the top two teams in the National Football League this season, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. All of the drama, excitement, game-changing momentum swing plays. We break down it all. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Showtime. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show. Oh yeah, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Welcome to another special Wednesday edition of our Nation Sports Show live here on YouTube. And before I get to my fine co-host with me, joining me tonight, I am your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand, and everybody, welcome to an action-packed Wednesday special edition of the Sports Show. Again, live here on YouTube, and up first, plugging the social media platforms. Up first on Twitter at @ON_sports show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and where we are live right now on good old YouTube, YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Also, don't forget, folks, to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner. Everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it is at the Nation's Corner. And joining me tonight is two of my good brothers from Nother Mothers. Up first, he is a Washington Commanders football fan. Some ladies think he's Justin Timberlake, but we know him as Joey Thornton. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Wednesday. Man, oh man, do we have a lot to talk about, from the NBA to the NFL? Oh man, what the hell am I rambling on about? Let's get it on, baby.
And last but certainly not least, everybody, joining me as well is one of my good friends of Gloriously for 19 years. He's a wrestling fan, old school rap and hip hop fan. He's also a fan of just like I am, of the San Francisco 49ers. K-Rod, Kevin Roy, what's going on, pal?
Man, I just got to say, 19 years has been a long time, but still not as long as the Dallas Cowboys' last championship. I had to throw that in there.
That's right. Anyway, we got a ways to go on that one, buddy.
I hope everybody's having a wonky Wednesday, just like the NFL season had been. And man, I can't believe it's a wrap this season. And what a wild season it's been, and what a wild Super Bowl it's been. And can't wait to get into it.
Absolutely. And you know, it's been a crazy NFL chaotic season this year. And like that, it all came to an end on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday in Phoenix, Arizona at State Farm Stadium, featuring the top two teams in the National Football League this season, the Philadelphia Eagles, led by their dynamic quarterback, Jalen Hurts, with that high-flying Philadelphia offense and that good Philadelphia defense, versus Patrick Mahomes and the 2022 MVP quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, going to their third Super Bowl in 4 seasons, and they clashed. Two epic teams clashed, or as rock and metal fans will get this, it was a clash of titans, if you will. And these two great juggernaut teams faced off against each other at State Farm Stadium to decide who was going to be the definitive Super Bowl champion of the 2022 National Football League season. And boy, oh boy, this game lived up to the hype and then some. Oh my goodness. I mean, you want to talk about numbers, stats, and just all around great offense. This is, if you like offense, this was the game for you. If you wanted a game that had drama, excitement, game-changing plays that changed the course of this game was for you, my friends. And this game had it all. I mean, Philadelphia during that first half was dominating the possession, the time of possession. They held the ball for over 23 minutes. KC only had it for 7 or 8 minutes during that first half. And that was the key to Philadelphia's success during that first half, was they were not getting they were keeping Mahomes off of the field and all of that. And when you look at the way Philadelphia was playing, I mean, Jalen Hurts was playing a great game. And I mean, Kevin, you said it, Joey said it, I said it, Ezra said it, we all have said it. We were worried about this Chiefs secondary during this game. And it was showing during the first half, because they were not able to get pressure on Hurts. And AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, they all got off the line of scrimmage and were running great routes and getting open. And Hurts was running his ass off in this game, especially in that first half. I mean, he had one hell of a game, and just that game went back. That first half went back and forth, and Philadelphia and the Chiefs just went back and forth, and it was tied up at 7. I mean, Philadelphia drove the ball right down the field, and then the Chiefs on their opening drive, they took the ball down the field. And again, hello, can somebody get the memo out to Philadelphia to cover Travis Kelce? I mean, he's a bad man, I must say. And Travis Kelce got opened up a couple of times on that first drive, and he scored a touchdown, on KC's opening drive. And then Philadelphia punches the ball in, they punched the ball in. Or no, I think they, trying to remember, I don't think they punted on that next drive, did they? I don't think they did. But either way, KC gets the ball back to go up, and of course the classic doink occurred when Buckner missed that field goal from 42 yards. I'm like, dude, really? You made a 45-yarder against Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. Now you're going to miss a 42-yarder with a doink? Give me a break. But either way, I mean, this first half was crazy. I mean, Philadelphia scores on their next drive. KC scores on the fumble recovery or fumble scoop and score from Nick Bolden of 36 yards. And the game was tied. And then Philadelphia drove the ball down the field, scored a touchdown again. Another Jalen Hurts run. And I mean, this kid, like I said, had a hell of a game, and especially in this first half. And then, and before I continue, Kev, I know we were texting during this game, and it was driving us crazy in this first half because, as we all know, Philadelphia was getting all of the calls in that first half. I mean, there was a holding penalty that should have been called on Kelce, but it wasn't called. Johnson, of course, false starts all the damn time, wasn't called. I mean, there was a couple of times in this first half where we're going crazy. Like, the officiating in this game was awful, especially in that first half. I mean, and Kev, I want you to give me your thoughts on this first half, because I'll set it up right here. And then there was a couple of times, there was a catch that wasn't a catch that was ruled incomplete. And then the Chiefs on their next drive before the half, Mahomes goes down with the ankle injury again. He's hobbling around, get off the field. The Chiefs punt the ball back to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia takes the opportunity to go down the field and kick a field goal to go up 10. So Kev, as this first half was going, I'll go to you first on this one. What were your thoughts about this first half when it comes to the way the game was officiated and how both of these teams, even though it was a back and forth game, there was just something off about this first half?
Yeah, the calls were crazy. There was a bunch of no calls that should have been called. I watched a third down conversion or a third down attempt where Juju was literally tackled and spun in the circles by James Bradbury. We'll get to that at the end, but did it earlier in the game and no flag. So, and I'm like, well, when is the officiating going to be any kind of consistent? I mean, you're calling flags all day on Kansas City, at least in the first half. Then you don't call nothing on Philly, and they're false starting all game long. Lane Johnson does this on the normal now. I mean, some plays are just dead on accurate and timed up perfectly, but you can't time it up perfectly every single time. And those times should have been called false start. But Philly did what they had to do to win as far as in the first half. They kept Mahomes on the sideline, check, because as good as you think your defense is, I watched this brother put up 45 on the best defense in football, the 49ers, earlier in the year. You just knew if he had the ball a bunch of times, he was going to cut you up. And we'll get to that in the second half. But the Eagles did what they had to do. They kept the ball out of his hand. They kept the drives going. They went on these long, methodical 10, 12, 13 play drives, 8 up, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes of the clock, and kept doing that. That's the recipe to win. But I just knew Patrick Mahomes is on a different level. I mean, he just doesn't play bad. He does not play bad. And I just had a thought at halftime when I seen that score go up 10. As a Niner fan, I got PTSD from the Super Bowl in 2019 when fourth quarter 10-point lead, Mahomes erased that shit real quick. I said, you know what? It's halftime, Philadelphia. I said, you better play the same exact half and play damn near perfect, because if you don't, Mahomes is going to come out and he's going to fling the ball all over your ass. But I think everybody, along with myself, I think the building in Arizona went quiet when Mahomes went down with the injured ankle that retweaked it, and you could see the pain. You could see the grimace, the pain in his face. I think the air went out of the arena because it was just like, oh wow, Mahomes is this team. I mean, no offense to the Hall of Fame Andy Reid, or no offense to good Chris Jones, or all superstar middle linebacker Nick Bolton, or Travis Kelce. Mahomes is this team. That's why you got to consider Mahomes when you're looking at quarterbacks as top tier, because he is the team. He don't come with a defense like Montana or Brady. He comes with, I got to win it all on my arm. I am the Steph Curry of the NFL. I am the Michael Jordan of my team. It's on my arm. And I just had a feeling. I said, this injury ain't going to keep him out. He's a soldier. And sure enough, that second half was a whole different ball game.
Sure was. And before we get to that second half, Joey, I want you to give us your thoughts on this first half, because this first half, it was a wild first half. And we thought that, like just in the back of our minds, like we knew that if Mahomes did not come back in that second half, we were all going, it's over. Because if Chad Henning had to come out there in that second half, if Henning had to come out there and play that second half, it was over. And, give us your thoughts on how this first half went with the officiating, with the ebbs and the flows of this first half, and just going into before the second half started. What were your thoughts about this game so far?
Well, if I have learned something about the Kansas City Chiefs this season, it's the fact that most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, it takes them a little bit to get their feet wet. It takes them a little bit to get going. Heck, it may take an entire quarter. It may take an entire half. Heck, it may only take a couple minutes for them to get into the normal swing of things. And what I saw in the Super Bowl was just another example of that. I mean, yes, Kansas City came out high looking right there in the first drive whenever Kelce was found in the end zone 18 yards wide open for the tying touchdown to make it 7-7 there in the first quarter. But those kind of plays are made all the time on Kansas City's offensive side of the ball with not much to show for it later on. So Yeah, it took him a little bit to get going, and Jalen Hurts, kudos to him. Um, he we all know he didn't have the experience in this game, but he was like, you know what? I ain't gonna let these fans get to me. I'm not gonna let this defense get to me. Heck, I'm not even gonna let my own fans get to me. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna give it everything I have and try to win us a Super Bowl championship. And he did just that. I mean, when he lost that deep throw to AJ Brown for that touchdown, I was like, wow. Kudos to Jalen Hurts for literally putting that ball right on the money.
Perfect throw.
I mean, that was
Perfect.
probably that had to be one of the most perfect throws I've ever seen in a Super Bowl game ever. And Jalen Hurts put it right on the money, so kudos to him. But yeah, whenever right there at the end of the first half, when Mahomes' ankle gave out on him after getting twisted around on his ankle and getting tackled by that Philadelphia guy, as Mahomes was trying to scramble for a first down, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. If he is not if he's not going to get to play in the second half, then this game is pretty much over. The Eagles will have the easiest path to the Super Bowl ever. And I mean, Philadelphia's offense did what they had to do in the second half. Getting the touchdowns when they needed them, getting the big plays when they needed it, and Jake Elliott being clutch on that last-second field goal to put the Eagles up by 10. So, I mean, if football was just a one-half game, or if football was just a first-half game, the Eagles would have gone home with the Super Bowl trophy hands down because they knew what they had to do and they went out and got it done.
Exactly. I mean, because Kevin, I texted you and a good friend of in the Nation's Corner crew, Ashley, who is a Chiefs fan as well. I texted both you guys during this game, and I was like, this cannot be the way. This cannot be the way this game ends, because this game was back and forth in that first half. Eagles scored, Chiefs scored, Eagles scored, Chiefs scored on defense, Eagles scored again. There was a couple of plays in that first half that were questionable or non-questionable. Like they got the one catch from Devontae Smith of 40+ yards that was incomplete, which was the right call, in that first half. And then at the end of that first half, when Mahomes limped off the field, we were all going, no, this cannot be the way this game ends. Because as we all know, the San Francisco 49ers played Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game, and they absolutely got lucky that they faced the best defense in the National Football League, ranked at number 1 in this game, not to their full healthy potential, because Bosa getting injured, Warner getting injured, and then you had both your quarterbacks in that championship game, Purdy and Johnson, going out with the UCL and concussion injuries respectively. So Philadelphia's win 2 weeks ago against the Niners, to get to this point, we were not impressed. And going into that second half, before it even started, I was like, they better hope and pray that Mahomes does not come out here and play the second half. And as soon as they said Mahomes is in there, I said, okay, they got a chance. But it starts right here. And that opening third quarter drive by the Chiefs was critical. It was very critical. Mahomes made it look absolutely easy, getting the ball down the field, scoring the touchdown, to get that pass, to get the ball down the field, and getting into the end zone. And again, as that second half started, there was no pressure on Mahomes, because if you're keeping score during this game, Philadelphia in that first half did not get one single ounce of pressure on him as far as hitting him or sacking him. They may have gotten pressure on the guy, but he was evading the rush. And just Mahomes played out of his mind to start the second half. I mean, he came out like a madman and scrambling, getting critical first downs. And I'm like, okay, He's running around. He's looking pretty good out there. The ankle doesn't seem to be bothering him, right off. Chiefs scored a touchdown. Then Philadelphia gets the ball back. And, dude, this third quarter, before you knew it, it was already over because Philadelphia drove that ball down the field. And mind you, that second questionable call that was overturned, this time it went against the Chiefs. Bolden could have had a second fumble return for a touchdown. Bolden had a second fumble return for a touchdown called off because the receiver was deemed to not be was to be down by contact. Dude, he got 2 feet inbounds, made a football move, and he fumbled the ball. I'm sorry. That play should have stood as a fumble return for Nick and a second touchdown to go on the stat sheet. So they overturned that. Philadelphia gets another break in this game. And then Philadelphia takes the full advantage of that opportunity and drives that ball methodically down the field. 17 plays, almost 8 minutes off the clock. And before you could even blink, the third quarter was over. Because after the Eagles scored their touchdown, they kicked the field goal. They kicked the field goal to go up 27-21. And the Chiefs got the ball back, and they were on their drive, and they were driving, and before you could blink, the third quarter was over. And then that fourth quarter, the most important quarter in this game, because this game was tight. This game you could just feel the intensity in that stadium. And I know Chiefs fans, I know Philadelphia fans all over the world, were just glued to their TV screens watching at home. And those Chiefs or Eagles fans that were able to travel to the Super Bowl and be at the game in person. Everybody in that stadium and at home was just on the edge of their seats. This game was back and forth, and the Chiefs answered the bell on a Kadarius Toney touchdown pass, mind you, wide open again, 5 yards into the end zone, and then Buckner barely made the extra point by the skin of his teeth, and he doinked the field goal, almost missed the extra point. And mind you, here's something crazy for you. When the Chiefs took two things. When the Chiefs took the 28-27 lead, that was the first time in the 2022 NFL postseason that the Philadelphia Eagles trailed in the postseason. And also as well, during that drive when the Chiefs took their lead, up until that minute of the game, the Chiefs ran 39 plays to Philadelphia's 60. Put that in your brain cells right there, folks. 60 plays to 39. And before I continue, I'll start with you, Joey, on this one. So to start the third quarter, into the fourth, the start of the fourth, what were your thoughts going into the third quarter when the Chiefs absolutely, like gangbusters, made that first drive look absolutely easy? And they scored that touchdown. Going into that opening drive to start the second half, what were your thoughts as this drive was going on and as that quarter was going on?
So remember how I said that it always takes a little bit for the Chiefs to get back into NFL football games?
Right.
Well, there's my case in point right there. Kansas City. Well, first, before I get into that, I'm going to say this real quick. Those Philadelphia Eagles players, especially the ones on defense, like Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, James Bradbury, they saw Mahomes limp off the field the way they did right there at halftime, and they were licking their chops saying, oh, yeah, Mahomes ain't coming back. We done knocked him out of the game. He ain't coming back. This Super Bowl championship is ours, hands down. They come out after the locker rooms. They come back out onto the field, and they see Mahomes warming up, and they're like, oh, shit. There is no way. So I say that to say this. Like you said, Steven, Mahomes and the Chiefs knew that first drive of the second half was going to be critical. That was going to be their make or break moment. And when I saw Mahomes escape the pressure and throw that pass to Travis Kelce, who literally caught the ball off of his shoestrings, might I add. He caught that ball off of his shoestrings. I was like, whoa. You want to talk about elite catches by elite tight ends? There's your answer right there, folks. And Mahomes, excuse me, he knew that going into the second half that he needed to get his team back in this ball game. And Mahomes passing along with the monster Isaiah Pacheco's running, and the fact that Pacheco was able to run the ball in from a yard out to put the Chiefs within 3. I mean, the Chiefs could not have dialed it up any better. They could not have dialed it up any better because the Chiefs knew that they needed to score a touchdown out of the gate in the second half to have a chance at coming back and winning this game.
And just to add to that, Jelly, real quick, on that opening drive by the Chiefs to start out this third quarter, Mahomes completed all 3 of his passes for 26 yards and ran for 14 yards before Pacheco finished off that drive for the touchdown.
Right.
12 plays, 75 yards to start out that third quarter.
And the fact of the matter is, Mahomes, he did not seem phased. And that, like we all said a couple of weeks ago when we were previewing the Super Bowl, that is where that experience comes in. That is where that experience came in for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and all those other players who had been in the Super Bowl before. Mahomes, the cat always knows what he's doing. He always knows what he is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, mind the fact that the Eagles got that field goal right there towards the end of the third quarter, go up 27-21.
And I stand correct real quick. It was a 19-play, 65-yard drive.
Yeah. But the Eagles knew, everybody knew at this point that we had a game on our hands because the Eagles going up by 10, they were like, the fans were like, well, hopefully we won't see much of this in the second half. I'll tell you what, though, that first touchdown drive by Kansas City, it revitalized the fans' energy, and they were like, oh, wow, we got us a ball game now. And I'm telling you one thing.
That's right. And also on that Philadelphia drive real quick as well, on that drive to start out their opening drive of the third quarter. I mean, Hurts was incredible on this drive, especially on that 3rd and 14 to Dallas Goedert from 16 yards on that completion to get that 3rd and 14 converted. It was a very critical pass.
And I'm telling you one thing. Going into this game, all the broadcasters, anchors, reporters, announcers, whoever you want to call them, they all said at some point that they would not be surprised if Patrick Mahomes exposed this Philadelphia Eagles secondary. And he went out and did just that when not once, but twice in the fourth quarter, the Eagles secondary bit on that run-pass option, and Mahomes found Kadarius Toney wide open in the end zone. And then after Kadarius Toney got that 65-yard punt return down to the Eagles' 5-yard line, Mahomes found Sky Moore when the Eagles secondary once again bit on that run-pass option. When Mahomes found Sky Moore wide open for that 4-yard touchdown to put the Chiefs on top 35-27. At this point, Jalen Hurts was like, whoa, we are down by 8 in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
I need to get our team back in this game. And
he responded.
Sure enough, Jalen Hurts responded by guiding the Eagles to that touchdown drive and that 2-point conversion to tie it up.
And not just that, to add to that as well. And after this, I'll go to you, Kevin, on your thoughts on this start of the second half into the fourth quarter. That long third down conversion from Hurts to Smith again for 46 yards to the Chiefs' 1-yard line. That was a critical pass to set up the Jalen Hurts touchdown. And mind you, his third touchdown of the game tying an NFL Super Bowl record for rushing touchdowns in a Super Bowl with 3, and tying the game up with the 2-point conversion. And say, Kev, on this second half, what was your thoughts as this second half was unveiling and getting underway with that opening Chiefs drive and the way they responded?
Yeah, to me, the Chiefs just did exactly what I thought would happen. Their coaching staff, phenomenal, ran circles around the Eagles coaching staff at halftime, because people got to realize it's not one half of football. It's a full game of football. There are halftime adjustments. There are adjustments in between series. And I give credit to defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. He did a phenomenal job in that second half, making some adjustments on the defensive side of the ball, getting some key stops on third down to force field goals, key stops to force a punt. Then I give Andy Reid and Mahomes all the credit in the world, because they schemed up some phenomenal plays on offense that absolutely cooked that defense. Like you said, the Kadarius Toney touchdown, the Juju Smith, like just crazy plays, because they sent them in motion knowing the Eagles were going to be overly aggressive. And when it came in motion, Bradbury or Slay ran across the field thinking it was going to be a drag route. And all of a sudden it was a whip route wide open to the corner pylon of the end zone. And they did it twice. And it's insane, because Andy Reid, like I said, he's one of them coaches. He plays to what the defense gives you. And the defense, if they're going to be overly aggressive, and Andy Reid is going to deceive the defense, and he's going to dial up something, and they're going to score. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, the adjustments by both. Steve Spagnuolo had his defense, and that's all Mahomes need. That's all he said is, look, we can give up yards. We just need to limit the touchdowns. Get them a field goal. We need give our guy the ball. Give Mahomes the ball back. He needs more touches. He needs more possessions, because that was the problem in the first half. Mahomes didn't have quite enough possessions. That's the Eagles' game plan. So they made a good game plan in the second half. They had made some adjustments. They started forcing a field goal, forcing a punt, and hell, what do you know? That punt return was absolutely massive by Kadarius Toney, because for one, the punt was shanked. For two, Kadarius Toney runs it all the way that led to another touchdown. And I'm like, well, guess what, Eagles fans? I mean, this ain't what you want to see. So Steve Spagnuolo did a phenomenal job making some adjustments, getting his defense off the field, bending, don't break mentality. And that's what happened. And then Mahomes got the ball more. And let me first start off by saying, you people out there that want to run your mouth, oh, Mahomes wasn't hurt. He ain't hurt. He was fucking hurt for 4 weeks by now, for crying out loud. It ain't right. Like he's running on 2 feet. I don't care how well he handles it. I mean, a fucking doctor, a literal physician had diagnosed him with a grade 2 high ankle sprain. That's a 6 to 8 week injury. He re-aggravated it at the end of the second half, but he was still injured. I mean, yeah, they probably gave him some pain injections and some steroid shots and bandaged it up more at halftime. But you can tell, look on his face and see he was hurting. But let me tell you one thing about Mahomes. He is a warrior. Some of that injury keeps 95% of the guys in the whole NFL out the whole month. Like, Mahomes fought through it. That earns my respect more than any of his accolades, is because he said, you know what? I'm not about myself. This is about for the team. I got 4 months to rest my ankle. I don't give a damn. I'm going to play. And that second half, while Steve Spagnuolo was making all kind of adjustments and Andy Reid was making all kind of adjustments, Gannon was not. He said, you know what? I'm not going to blitz. I'm not going to do this. I'm not playing man coverage. I'm not doing this. I'm going to play zone. I'm going to play a prevent defense and see where it takes me. Only problem with that is we watched so many quarterbacks over the years. If you are an elite quarterback and you read the coverage, you know where the holes are going to be in the coverage. If you read, they're going to play cover 2. They don't disguise nothing. If it looks like a skunk, it smells like a skunk. Well, guess what? It probably is a skunk. So if it looked like cover 2, they're not disguising nothing. It sounds like cover 2, then guess what they're playing? Cover 2. And what's the problem with cover 2? the corner routes on the sideline, and Mahomes, boom, corner route. Oh, you're running cover 4, boom, whip routes right there. Oh, you're running cover 3, in the middle of the field is Kelsey. Like, he was just dialing this up like it was just a typical day at the office. Like, okay, you play this, I'm throwing it here. You play that, I'm throwing it here. And he did it over and over and over.
Mahomes is such a magician. He knows what he's doing. It's amazing the knowledge that this young man has. You know, to be 27 years old, and just the fact that, dude, I told this to you, Joey. I told this to you, Kev. It's like the pressure didn't even faze him. Like, down by 10 going into the third quarter. All right, cool. Here we go. Let's go. You know, and then
let's just say Mahomes has been through war. I mean, something the Eagles and Hurts have not. I mean, I don't want, and let me just reiterate myself here. Hurts played phenomenal. His performance is going to get lost, but I can't take nothing away from the guy. But I can't say he's been in those pressure situations. Even in college, he was benched in the national championship game when the pressure mounted the most. So he still doesn't get that experience. But he did play a phenomenal game. I will give him that. This is on coaching and this is on the defense. This is not on Hurts whatsoever. The guy played his ass off and got NFL records and this and that. And like he deserves the money he's about to get this offseason. But it's just like the pressure, Mahomes has been through it. 5 seasons as a starting quarterback in the NFL, the guy has had nothing less but AFC championship games. I mean, he's been through it. First season, went to New England, took them to the brinks of their Super Bowl run in the AFC title game in overtime, won a Super Bowl, lost another Super Bowl, was arguably the best player on the field in that loss, got back to the AFC championship game, and then won the AFC championship game in another Super Bowl. So the guy has faced every kind of adversity you could ask for as far as a quarterback because he's been there. He's been down. He's been down double digits. He's been up by double digits. He's had to play injured. He's had to play without Travis Kelce. He's had to go all year this year without a number 1 wide receiver. He did it. He has done it. Like, it's crazy because he's so young and he's done more than just about any single NFL quarterback has ever done. And to be honest, it's crazy because Mahomes, the only other 2 quarterbacks in NFL history with 2 league MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, and 2 Super Bowl MVPs are Tom Brady and Joe Montana. That's it. End of list. And Patrick Mahomes now. And the bad part about it is Joe Montana's done. Brady, he's got his 7, and Brady's gone. Mahomes is still young. Mahomes has got 10 plus years in this league. He can shatter these records. He can go for 5, 6 league MVPs. He can tie Peyton Manning for the most MVPs. He can then go on and get close to Tom Brady and more than Joe Montana in Super Bowls. I mean, it's insane about Patrick Mahomes, dude. I find it disrespectful. And here's what I'm going to say about it. I love Joe Cool. I love Joe Shiesty. Joe Burrow, the man. He's probably my favorite quarterback to watch play. But the fact that during this AFC title game week, all you kept hearing from ESPN analysts is, I think Joe Burrow passed Patrick Mahomes. Cut it out. Cut the clout out. Cut the shit out. Cut the absolute horse shit. I mean, that was absolute disrespect to Patrick Mahomes. To sit there and say Joe Burrow has maybe passed him as a better quarterback, come on, dude. When I look at quarterbacks in the NFL right now, it's Patrick Mahomes number 1, and then there's a Grand Canyon in between who's number 2. And you can make a case for Burrow. You can make a case for Josh Allen. You can make a case for Jalen Hurts. But there is a canyon like that. The gap is so far in between 1 and 2, it's not even fair to even compare them. And it's disrespect to someone who's a 2-time league MVP and 2-time Super Bowl champion to even compare anybody in the modern day to near the level as Patrick Mahomes. It's not happening.
Right. And also to add to the stats real quick here, look at some of these stats right here. This is how crazy this game was. Rushing attempts. KC had 26 for 158 yards. Philadelphia had 32 rush attempts that went for only 115. So you mean to tell me that the Chiefs had 6 less rushing attempts and had more yardage? Also as well, Mahomes went 21 for 27 for 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and Jalen Hurts went 27 of 38 for 375 yards. Or 302. My bad. 302 yards.
But see, you know what that tells me right there? Again, it was more about this fucking Eagles defense finally getting the shit took to them than it was anything else. Yes, Philly had the number 1 rushing offense in the league this year. That don't mean nothing. They didn't run excessively well, but it just shows how bad this Philadelphia run defense has been all season. They were in the bottom 10 of rush defense this year. That's why they brought in the Ndamukong Suh to try to kind of ease that pain. Nope, didn't work. They still got their ass ran over by a rookie. Pacheco is a rookie, 7th round draft pick running all over your defense. And then goes to show you again, you don't get a pass rush, just like Deebo Samuel said in the interview on KNBR. Hey, that secondary is weak, man. They hide behind that front 4. If you get that front 4 and neutralize them, anybody can throw the fucking ball all over that secondary. And what happened? They neutralized Hassan Reddick with no sacks for the entire game for anybody on that Philadelphia front. And that
Cox had none. Graham had none. Reddick had none. Yeah.
None of
anybody.
None. And they ended up what it looked like barbecue chicken, as Shaquille O'Neal would say. That's what that secondary was. Getting cooked. Getting cooked by a bunch of number 3 receivers. Juju Smith, Kadarius Toney, cooked. Another rookie wide receiver, Moore, cooked. Rookie, cooked. They look like skinned fish.
Juju Smith-Schuster going into this game had almost 7 catches. In this game alone, he had 6, including 4 catches on KC's go-ahead drive.
That's why I was about to say most coming in that last drive when he was catching slants. He was catching out routes.
He was taking what the defense got him. Slant, boom, over the middle. Boom, slant on the side, boom, cut. Dude, you are you kidding me? And to cap off this Chiefs final drive. So after the Eagles tied the game, 5:15 to go in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs took the ball. Pacheco, boom, 15 yards, first down. Boom, Mahomes pass down the field, 17 yards. And then the most biggest play of this game, Mahomes, 26-yard scramble to the Philadelphia 17. Pacheco goes down to the 15. Mahomes threw his first incompletion of the game on the next play, and then he threw an incompletion that was ultimately ruled a holding call. And mind you, Kurt Warner said it during this game, when James Bradbury held on to Smith-Schuster, if he does not hold on to him, that's a touchdown. He's wide open. Bradbury knew what the hell he was doing. He held on to him because he knew, I'm beat, I'm barbecued, I'm cooked. Holding, and you had these people bitching and complaining when yet Philadelphia was getting all the damn calls in that first half, especially that first half. So don't be complaining to me saying that this was rigged when you absolutely know, when it's obvious, it's obvious. So but they're going, Steven, they haven't been calling this all game long, because they weren't. And the referees, I know, I understand. If you're going to let them play. I get it. But at the same time, if it's blatantly obvious, you're going to throw the flag, and Bradbury even admitted that after the game. Yeah, I held him. So shut up. Quit bitching and complaining when yet you were getting all the non-calls to go in your way in the first half. Kelsey holding. Our favorite offensive lineman, Johnson, false starting his ass off again, just like you said, Kevin. Again, he knows how to jump the gun. And again, yes, Philadelphia played a hell of a game. They did. Are you kidding me? Look at the type of possession. Kansas City in this game, 24 minutes, 13 seconds. Philadelphia, 35 minutes. 47 seconds. So you mean to tell me that the Philadelphia Eagles outgained the Kansas City Chiefs in this game on the yards, all that stuff? Philadelphia outgained them 417 yards to 340. You can't make this stuff up, because 9 times out of 10, the team that has the ball for the most time possession wins the game. Most yards wins the game. But this is where the Chiefs absolutely annihilated the Eagles in this game. And that was in the running game. On Kansas City's 26 rushing attempts, they averaged 6.1 yards a carry. Philadelphia's 32 rushing attempts, 3.6. Unbelievable. The fact that the majority of the stats you would think would go into Philadelphia's favor of winning the game, and they didn't even do it. And not to mention, after the Chiefs got the ball, or after the holding call on Bradbury, and then McKinnon runs the ball down towards the one, and they're like, get down. And even Greg Olsen said it. Greg Olsen said, get down, get down, get down. Because they were going to let him score. At least he didn't pull an Ahmad Bradshaw. He didn't run into the end zone, because Philadelphia would have had at least a minute and change to go in this game. And that would have given them the ball back with still a timeout to go and more time. So that was very smart by McKinnon, by that coaching staff, to let him know probably in the middle of that play, hey, do not bite into what they're wanting you to do. And that score a touchdown, walking untouched. That's what they want you to do. But he didn't do it. He made the right move to stop the ball at the one, and they ran the clock down. And also on that after that, they caused Philadelphia to run their final timeout. And then Buckner made the field goal from 27 yards. That left Philadelphia only 8 seconds to go. 8 seconds to go. And the game was pretty much over by that point. And this game, again, I specified it in the intro and the pre-intro and going into the show. If this was a Super Bowl that you wanted to be a close game, offense by both teams, up and down the field, big time plays, this was the game for you. And I'm sorry, Big T. The Super Bowl this year did not suck. You know why? Because it was the 2 best teams in the National Football League playing in the Super Bowl and putting up incredible numbers. Again, Mahomes went 21 for 27 for 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jalen Hurts, 27 to 38 for 302 passing yards, and he had a touchdown. And also, Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns, tying an NFL Super Bowl record. And also, another stat that give you guys out here that's mind-boggling. Philadelphia is the team that has the most points scored in a Super Bowl to be the losing team. The previous team to do that, ironically, Philadelphia faced the Patriots. The Patriots had the record for 33 in Super Bowl 52 for the most points scored on a losing team. Philadelphia obviously scored 35. And also, Jalen Hurts is the quarterback that had the most touchdowns in the Super Bowl to lose the game with 4 total touchdowns. Also, Hurts also ties a Super Bowl record with 20 points scored, tying James White to be the only 2 players to score 20 points in a Super Bowl. So the numbers are crazy. And the probably the most craziest number to me, what did we talk about during last week, and what has the media talked about for the last couple of weeks? That great Philadelphia front four. Oh, Cox, Graham, Reddick, all these guys. They're good. They're gonna eat Mahomes and them alive. They're gonna get pressure on Mahomes. They're gonna sack him. They're gonna hit him. All blah 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 blah. Zilch, nada, zero, not a single quarterback hit, except for the ankle. But as far as quarterback hits in the pocket, nope. A sack, nope. Absolutely not. No sacks, zilch. You think Philadelphia's defense is that good? Okay, whatever. You can live in your own fantasy world, but we live in reality. Do you honestly think that San Francisco would have had 0 sacks on that stat sheet? Nope. Because, oh wait, They had sacks against Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay had 7 sacks against Mahomes in that Super Bowl? Whatever it was, 5, 7, whatever. I'm not even looking at the stats at this point. But around 5, 7 sacks in that game. Philadelphia, they're that good? Front 4 good? Yeah. Regular season long? Yeah. Over 70 sacks going into the Super Bowl? Over 80? 80 sacks going into the Super Bowl? No. Zilch. When the game really mattered? 0. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. Get the hell out of my sight. And sorry, but not. Philadelphia got what was coming to them. Kevin, you said it. I've said it. Joey has said it. We've all said it. That Philadelphia this season was the luckiest number 1 seed going into Super Bowl 57 because they did not play not one single lick of competition for the most part this season. They faced Prescott 1 time. They faced Rodgers once. They faced Danny Dimes 3 friggin' times. That's great. No, not on my watch. You faced the great Patrick Mahomes, and you got burnt. Burnt. I said it 3 times, baby. Burnt. You got barbecued on a Sunday night in Phoenix. Did not stand a chance against Mahomes. And I hate to steal his catchphrase, but I will. Mahomes is better than you, and you know it. To quote MJF, better than you, and you know it. Mahomes is the best quarterback of his generation. And Kevin, before this game was all she wrote, you said it. If Mahomes comes back to win this Super Bowl, that will put him in the top 5 discussion. As far as I'm concerned, he's already there. And on top of that, Mahomes is the best quarterback of his era. He is the Tom Brady. He is the Peyton Manning. He is the Joe Montana. He is whatever quarterback you want to say of those eras. In his era, he is the best. Nobody will touch him. 3 Super Bowl appearances. Has won 2. As the song goes, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. 5 AFC championship games. 5 conference championship games. And Kev, I will ask you this to start this first. When it's all said and done, we know how Mahomes great he is. How many Super Bowls will he get? Well, we know he'll get back to another one. But how many do you think Mahomes could possibly win when his career is all said and done? When the dust is settled and all the smoke is cleared, as The Rock would say, where will Mahomes be as far as Super Bowl championships?
Well, first, let me start out and say about the flag at the end. Do I think it should have been called? I mean, no, because it was so much on the line, but a hold is a hold, and it wasn't not a hold. So they got the call right. Whether you're mad it got called and didn't let him play, it don't matter. And for the people that don't know football, trying to say, oh, well, the ball was uncatchable, that does not apply to defensive holding.
Correct.
Defensive holding does not apply to uncatchable balls. That is pass interference. If it's pass interference, that was when you could make the argument, oh, the ball wasn't catchable. Defensive holding is just holding. Like, oh, the guy had you cooked, so you're going to sneak a grab on his tail and pull him back, and you got caught. And you know what? Rob Ninkovich made a good start. He's like, you don't want to get caught doing no cheap tricks. He said, listen, I played defense. I played for Bill Belichick. He got the cheapest tricks in the book. He said, You know what? You don't want to get caught. Don't wear dark gloves on a white jersey because you're going to get caught. That's like a big target in the ref's eyes looking at your hands on the guy's shirt where you can clearly see your hands. It's just dumb. So that's why. And then I believe that was the right call. As mad as people want to say, it was a hold. So there's that. And then shout out for Jerick McKinnon. He was a real team player too, because he had the chance to imagine that, getting to tell your kids, man, I could have scored a touchdown. I was going to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, maybe be the only chance he gets. But instead, He risked it by not taking the touchdown, getting down to run the clock out to make sure his team's got a championship ring by the end of it. That's a real team player, and I'm very. He's got my respect. But after this championship, man, I Mahomes, like we said in the pre-show, man, he's been to 3 Super Bowls, 2 he's won with the MVP. And he's got 2 league MVPs, 5 championship. He has not been in another game outside or less than the AFC championship game. That's incredible. And all 5 of them he hosted. And I know people like Mad Dog today was like, well, Mahomes, I got to see him on the road. Don't try to downplay his team's dominance, because his team dominance came from him. That is why they're playing an Arrowhead every championship game. Not because they play in a weak conference or not because nobody else is good. It's because of how dominant he is and how dominant that Chiefs team is. Like, don't downplay his dominance because you want to see him win on the road. I mean, why? Shouldn't that dominance say something? And you can argue he was better than Brady and the best player on the field in the Super Bowl that they did lose. Mahomes was running for his life, had no help. Tyreek Hill looked like a bum. Then Mahomes did it this year with truly not one number 1 receiver on his team. And a lot of people around the NFL community are baffled because in the league today, you got to have a number 1 receiver. Mahomes shredded that theory and said, nope, I just win. I win without him. I play with a bunch of number 2s. I play with Marquez Valdez-Scantling and win.
I play with Juju Smith-Schuster.
He said, all I have is the best tight end who's my best receiver. That's all I have. That's all I need. I need a rookie running back in the 7th round that can be a gadget player. That's all I need. And what did they do? They gave him that. To me, with the way this team's set up, I've done said it on Twitter. I've done said it on Facebook. I think they trade this season for a number 1 receiver because this team has $60 million in cap room. I don't know how they are so cap eased this season. They have all this, and then you turn around and they got a bunch of first round picks. And with those first round picks, they can trade and package it up with maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because now you got your running back in Pacheco who's going to be elite. You could trade Edwards-Helaire and a couple first-round picks, and you can bring in the likes of DeAndre Hopkins. You can go after that guy. You can afford him because he's not that much. You can afford someone like that. You could try to see if Devontae Adams is up for snagging while the Raiders are trying to freaking rebuild. You can see something like that and afford that. Can you imagine Mahomes with the likes of Hopkins or Adams? You thought Rodgers to Adams was good. Imagine Adams playing with a whole team now, with a better quarterback, a better defense, a better quarterback, a better head coach. I'm just saying, man, the possibilities are endless. But what I'll say about Mahomes, I'm going to go out on a reach and say he wins 4-5. I think 4-5. And I think he has multiple Super Bowl appearances. I mean, I think he loses maybe 2 Super Bowls altogether. Maybe ends up 4-2, 5-2 in the Super Bowl. And to be honest, I don't want to discredit Tom Brady because I know he just retired. But if Mahomes reaches 4 Super Bowls and he plays the way he does and puts his team on his back, I got to put him over Brady as the top best all time. Like, even with the 7 rings, because let's be honest, Brady in the early years won because he was a game manager. He just didn't turn the ball over. He made key plays, but he didn't turn the ball over. Mahomes is out there slinging that bitch. Like, he's out there slinging that shit all over the field, coming back from 10-point deficits like it's nothing, winning the ball game in the biggest moments on the grand stage. I mean, he by himself is the Kansas City Chiefs. Brady had a defense. Brady had Belichick, a defensive mind. Mahomes is by himself. He is an Aaron Rodgers prototype with Tom Brady's genes. It's ridiculous. It's something we've never seen. And I call him the Steph Curry of football because 2 reasons. Those 2 players like that, Steph Curry and Patrick Mahomes, they've changed their respective sports. Like, they are the funnest players to watch in their respective sport because of how they play the game. It's fun to watch. I'm a 49er fan, but watching Patrick Mahomes hit that Mahomes magic is absolutely incredible. So I think he ends up with 4 or 5 Super Bowl rings before this is all said and done.
I agree. Joey, what are your thoughts on the holding call on Bradbury? Was it a hold? Was it not a hold? Was it the right call? Would you have thrown the flag? And secondly, where do you rank Mahomes as far as down the line in his career? How many Super Bowls will he have? And where will he rank as the best quarterbacks all time?
So, in regards to that holding call, I mean, I understand that the officiating was bad the whole game, and I mean the whole game because both teams had calls that were missed that should have been called. Like you guys have said, Lane Johnson for the Eagles false starting all the time, holds that weren't called, pass interferences that weren't called, and this, that, and the other. Calls that were reversed, calls that were confirmed, this, that, and the other. But if you have such big stakes on the line and you're going to make a mistake like holding on a player's jersey and bringing it back, pulling him back to try to prevent him from catching a wide open touchdown, I mean, this day and age, the refs would have called that as compared to maybe the refs from like 5-10 years ago. They probably wouldn't have called that. But honestly, I think that was the right call because, like Kevin said, when he quoted, I can't remember who he said he was, but to not wear dark gloves while covering a white jersey. I mean, if you're gonna do that, then chances are you're gonna get called for that holding or that pass interference penalty. So, yes, that holding call changed the outcome of the game. I strongly believe that. But like we've said, the Eagles have nothing to be ashamed of except for that front four because they couldn't get a single sack on Mahomes throughout the game. But yeah, I mean, even James Bradbury himself admitted to holding him, or to holding Schuster, and he said that I was hoping the rest would let it slide. Come on, man. Give
You
it
know
this
what?
guy.
Let me cut you off real quick, Joey, just for a second. You know what? I'm gonna quote Jalen Hurts now, their own quarterback, and he admitted this. He said, one play or one call does not dictate how the game went.
Correct.
We should have just played better. Point blank, period. And that's true. That one call out of hundreds of other plays, they had a chance. They couldn't do nothing. That's your fault. That you have nobody but to blame but your defense. Sorry.
That's right.
I mean, not only that, but before you continue, also as well, to backtrack a little bit, when Philadelphia had the ball, when the Chiefs took the lead, they could have drove the ball down the field again and scored. But that was their first 3 and out of the game.
Absolutely.
That was only their second punt of the game. Only their second punt of the game, because now I remember the Eagles did punt on their second drive to get the ball back to the Chiefs. But that was their only second punt since the first quarter when the game was tied up at 7.
Yep.
So Hurts is correct. He is correct that one call does not define if the game is won or lost. You cannot blame not that one call. You have to execute the plays when they are given to you. You can't make excuses because of that one call.
Exactly.
Sorry.
But
Continue.
yeah, I mean, I do think that was the correct call. But the Eagles, like I said, they have nothing to be ashamed of, especially Jalen Hurts, because he went out and played the game of his life, even though it was a losing effort.
Yep.
And Jarrett McKinnon, real quick, highly respectable class act that he did by not running that touchdown when the Eagles pretty much gave him a free passer. They were like, okay, well, you're already on the 2 and the 1 yard line. Go ahead. We'll let you score for free. No. McKinnon was like, you know what? I want to make sure we walk out of Arizona as Super Bowl champions, so I'm going to bow down here at the 1 and not score a touchdown because that's how much of a respectable athlete I am, and that's how much of a team player I am. So kudos to you, kind sir, because you did your team a favor. Now, as far as Patrick Mahomes is concerned, as far as if he belongs in the top 5, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now that based on his performance that he has done ever since being drafted to this Kansas City organization, the multiple MVPs he's won, the multiple Super Bowls he's won, the multiple passing records that he's done, the hundreds upon hundreds of touchdowns that he has thrown, the multiple big plays that he has made. As of right now, given all the quarterbacks that have ever thrown a pass in NFL history and looking at their stats and everything, I'm going to go and tell you guys right now that I think Patrick Mahomes is definitely in the top 5. I would actually rank him as of right now at number 3 behind Tom Brady and Joe Montana. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks that I think deserve a higher ranking than Mahomes for right now. Just for right now. Give Mahomes a few more MVPs and give him a few more Super Bowl championships. And I think that Patrick Mahomes, like you said, Kevin, could eclipse Tom Brady as that number 1 overall ranking because Mahomes, I mean, yes, he's young. He's learning the playbook week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. I mean, Mahomes is clearly a true bona fide leader. And that is one thing that most of these quarterbacks, whether they look at it from their perspective or from other people's perspective or not, Mahomes is truly a leader. And he always will be the leader of that Kansas City Chiefs organization because as far as I'm concerned, Mahomes ain't going nowhere else. It doesn't matter what teams try to trade for him 5, 6, 7 years down the line. He's not leaving that Kansas City Chiefs organization because he has found a home in Kansas City, Missouri, and he is not going to be leaving that Chiefs organization anytime soon. Now, as far as the Super Bowls are concerned, given how Mahomes is, given how he can take a team that has no promise going into the season and take them to a Super Bowl championship, it makes me wonder what he could do with a bona fide number 1 receiver, with Travis Kelce, with that amazing running game that Isaiah Pacheco has brought in this past season. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if Mahomes gets 5, possibly even 6 Super Bowls. Because Mahomes, he knows how to get the job done. He knows what he's supposed to do whenever he gets on that field, and he says to himself, you know what? I know what I got to do. I'm the cheerleader of this team. Everybody depends on me, so I'm going to go out and give it 150%. I'm going to go out and give it 1,000%. Even if I'm on my deathbed right now, I will still find a way to go out and lead my team to victory. And that is what a true leader is all about. So Patrick Mahomes, given how he can basically take a team of nobodies and guide them to a Super Bowl championship, it just makes me wonder what he can do with an improved offensive line with a number 1 receiver, with Travis Kelce getting better, and better throughout each season.
Here's the thing, Joey. Here's the craziest part, right? He's already won a Super Bowl with a true number 1, number 2 receiver. And
that's right.
That's what's even more crazy is the fact that when you look at these 2, and I know you guys probably agree with this, and I said it during the pre-show, when you look at these 2 Super Bowl championships that Mahomes has won, he has truly won with 2 completely unique, different teams. The first Super Bowl championship team was full of speed, high-flying offense, a true offensive juggernaut.
Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins.
And Hardman and Robinson and
Hardman and Robinson and Kelce.
Yeah, and this one was even more deadly, you can make the argument, because this was an unpredictable offense. You didn't know if Valdez-Scantling or if Smith-Schuster or if Pacheco or if McKinnon was going to be a dominant weapon in the slot or on the outside. And that's what made this team, to me, more deadly is these teams did not know which receiver, which running back was going to show up and be a big contributing factor into the victories, because one week it was Valdez-Scantling, one week it was Smith-Schuster, a couple of weeks throughout the season it was McKinnon catching balls out of the backfield, rushing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. Pacheco, dude, his speed is incredible.
Yeah. Mahomes is definitely a true leader, so it wouldn't surprise me if he wins 5, possibly even 6 Super Bowls. Now, the last thing I'm going to add, and I'll be done with this, or with this analysis, is the fact that, and Steven, I brought this up to you whenever we were talking on the phone on Monday. I mentioned that there was only one quarterback out of all the quarterbacks that have thrown a pass in NFL history. There was only one quarterback who has a winning record at any time when he is faced with a 10-point deficit, and his name is Patrick Mahomes. He is the only quarterback ever in NFL history to have a winning record at any time throughout the game when he is down by 10 points. So that right there speaks volumes. That right there lets you know that you can never, and I repeat, never count out Patrick Mahomes for any reason whatsoever.
Just ask the Buffalo Bills how that went 2 seasons ago now. 13 seconds. 13 seconds.
And I hate to say it, but like Kevin said, ask San Francisco from a few years ago.
2 interceptions on Mahomes, multiple sacks in that Super Bowl. Tampa had 5+ sacks in that Super Bowl. Philadelphia, they did not have a single sack in this game. And I honestly think that Philadelphia's front four, it's not as good as it's advertised. I mean, is it good? Sure, it is. But it's not dominant because
it's good name-wise because, I mean, here's that front four. Hassan Reddick, Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox. And who was that other player? Who? Graham, that's right, Brandon Graham. I mean, think of their backgrounds, think of their college careers, and think of what they've done so far in the pros. Absolutely dominant. So on paper, that is definitely a stat front four. But if you expose them like that Chiefs offensive line, which by the way, that Chiefs offensive line, other than Mahomes, the clear winners of that Super Bowl game. The clear winners, hands down.
The offensive line was so focused. And mind you, the offensive line in this Super Bowl, the majority of these guys played in Super Bowl 55 when they lost to the Bucs, and this is when this offensive line was inexperienced.
Yep.
Now they have the experience because they have a full couple of years with Mahomes.
Yep.
Humphreys and that offensive line took that Philadelphia front seven to school. I mean,
they sure did.
Every time they had chances to get off the line of scrimmage and get in the backfield to Mahomes and to the running backs, the offensive line was there to greet them and take them to school. And it's still amazing to me that Philadelphia, one of the top rushing teams in the National Football League this season, got outrushed 158-115 in the Super Bowl. So you mean to tell me that in this Super Bowl, not only that, but Hurts outthrows Mahomes yardage-wise 302-182. I'm sorry, 302-182 in the Super Bowl, and they still lose the game on the stat sheet. That's the thing that still gets wrapped up in my head, is they lose on the stat sheet to the Eagles, but more importantly, they won the game because in 24 minutes and 13 seconds, on Kansas City's total drive of possessions, they made their drives count. And that second half, touchdown, 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 field goal. End of story.
Yep.
Outscored Philadelphia in the second half 24-11.
Yep.
24-11. And listen, I mean, could Philadelphia get back here? Yeah, they could. But they've already lost. Not just the Super Bowl, but they've lost their offensive coordinator to the Colts as the head coach.
And they lost the defensive coordinator to Arizona.
Yep. And they just lost their defensive coordinator to the Arizona Cardinals. You done lost both your defensive and offensive coordinators to respective teams. And now you have to get other coaches to fill those voids. Oh, well, they're going to say, oh, Nick Sirianni's going to be calling the place for Philadelphia. And you still have to have coordinators who know these players, who know what they're running, know what their schemes are. This Philadelphia team this upcoming season is not going to be the same team that we saw in the Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely not. Because like Kevin brought up in the pre-show, how much money they're going to have to spend to pay Jalen Hurts. I mean, they're going to have to lose a good number of their starters, or either that or force them to take pay cuts, which, knowing how they're coming off a Super Bowl appearance, even though they lost, ain't none of them going to want to take pay cuts.
Right.
So, I mean, imagine how much money they're going to have to cut back on these offensive and defensive starters that they had in the Super Bowl game, and how many they're going to have to say goodbye to.
Especially when Jalen Hurts gets up to that last deal on the contract of his rookie deal, he's going to be wanting the big bucks.
Exactly, and it's going to be another couple years. But Devontae Smith, the game that he had in the Super Bowl when he caught 7 catches for 100 receiving yards on the dot, he's going to want that big buck money.
And A.J. Brown, 6 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown.
Brown, he's going to want that big time money. So, I mean,
this was Philadelphia's golden opportunity to win a championship, and they blew it.
I mean, Philadelphia right now is digging themselves in a hole that hopefully, if they want to have a chance next season, they'll find a way to get out of.
Right, because, it's mind-boggling to still even think about this, because Philadelphia was out gaining them in this game, and they still lost.
Yep.
It just goes to show you that execution is so important in this game, because that is what the Chiefs did. They out-executed the Eagles. They out-coached them in the second half, and I'll tell you where not only, I'll tell you the most important factor. The Chiefs did not punt. Philadelphia punted that one time in the second half. And that second punt overall in the game, after that first punt in the first quarter, when the game was tied up at 7, that second punt was the most important punt of the game because it flipped the game over.
Exactly. And I've already been I'm just now taking a look at Philadelphia's schedule for next season. And let me tell you, they got some pretty tough games on their schedule next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have to play San Francisco. They have to go. They have to play Buffalo. They have to go to Kansas City. They have to go to Seattle. They're playing Minnesota next season. They have to go to Tampa Bay next season. So, I mean,
they're playing the NFC South and the NFC North.
And they had to, and even though they sucked this past season, something tells me they could be on a run next season. They have to go
Southwest. Sorry.
They had to go to LA to take on the Rams.
So they're playing the NFC West and the NFC North. Congratulations, Philadelphia.
Yep.
You got to face Detroit. And that's not going to be easy. And who would have thought that, sitting here, saying that? Detroit had a hell of a run last year.
So, according to this, they're playing the NFC West and the AFC East next season.
You know what's crazy is, honestly, look at the Chiefs' schedule. They got to face the Bills, the Bengals, and the Eagles in either one of these 3 games, it's going to be the first game of the season.
Yeah, let me see. Let me look real quick.
That's crazy to me. They're
they're playing the AFC East and let me see. And they're playing the NFC North next season.
Okay.
So yeah, they got games against Buffalo. They're facing Miami. They're facing Detroit. They're going to Minnesota, going to New England, going to Jacksonville.
So that's going to be a good schedule for Kansas City.
So yeah, the Chiefs, they have a pretty good looking schedule next season.
Mm-hmm. They do.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It'll be and that's also how crazy it's going to be going forward. Because in a couple of weeks when the schedule is finally released, dude, we're going to have a lot to dissect on that stuff too. And also, what's crazy as well, real quick, is the Kansas City Chiefs are the first team to win a Super Bowl in one season, and then in the off season, they're the first team stadium to host the NFL draft.
That's right. The NFL draft is going to be in Kansas City in a couple months.
Yup.
Yeah.
Kansas City making history.
I will say real quick, in regards to the NFL schedule being released very soon, is it too early to say that the Dallas Cowboys are already eliminated?
No, because it's going to be their 13th year in a row not making it to the NFC Championship game. Overall, sorry, Dallas, 28 years in a row.
Oh Lord! But speaking of which, I saw somebody put a meme on Facebook saying, "Trophies won at the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott won. Philadelphia 0." And then I saw that somebody put another meme on Facebook saying, "Dak Prescott winning the Man of the Year is the only time that Dallas is ever going to win a championship in the Super Bowl." I was like, dang.
Oh, by the way, thank you for bringing that up, Joey, and I'll segue into this. And I got a bone to pick with this. Okay, so hear me out. The NFL honors, right?
Yeah.
You would have figured that there would be a football player, a host of NFL programming, hosting the award festivities or NFL player again, like I said. No, they have Kelly Clarkson hosting the NFL honors. And I'm saying, Kevin, I texted you this. Joey, I texted you this. And one of my good friends, Ashley, who lives near Kansas City, who's a Chiefs fan. I texted her. I said, Kelly Clarkson is a terrible, terrible host. Why the hell they got her out there hosting? Her jokes are terrible. Her hosting skills are terrible. Everything about this award show, for the most part, was garbage. Garbage because of who they had hosting. Kelly Clarkson does not belong hosting an NFL Honors Award show. She belongs on the stage singing her beautiful voice off. Yep. Not hosting an NFL award show. Because of you, I will never get back the time that I lost. Behind these blind eyes, I rant on this bullshit.
Well, you could always go back to that time where whenever the show was first created, y'all can broadcast for 5 hours doing the NFL draft first round.
Sure, that'll be fun. Yeah, 5 more glorious hours of almost falling asleep. Yeah, hey, you know what? I think we're gonna do that again this year. Oh wait, We're not doing that. Hey, dude, seriously, I could have been on here with you guys last Thursday watching this snooze fest of an NFL Honors Award show with Clarkson in the background, just having the most stupidest joke. Oh, I thought her jokes were pretty funny because it was accurate about Dallas. Yeah, it might have been true about Dallas, but otherwise, Her jokes were terrible. The song parodies, except for George Kittle. George Kittle was a friggin' riot during that award show.
Oh, and why? And why would you even forget about the fact that Kelly Clarkson was wearing an absolute garbage of a dress during her presentation, where she was wearing a dress with Dallas Cowboys players on it? Come on, Kelly!
Really? Was Tony Romo on there?
I think I saw Romo, I saw Prescott, and I saw Elliott.
Donate that dress to the Salvation Army now. Wait. I got it. At the top of the dress, it should have had CD Lamb, so he can actually CD ball.
Oh boy.
I ain't holding back. Sorry. They should have had Romo on the back of that thing because it signifies him kissing ass. Because Tony Romo's all the freaking time will not shut up in the booth. Oh, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. Shut up, dude. Let the play go through and let it develop. Oh, he's running a quarter route. He's running this, running that. Shut up, Romo.
Hey, speaking of which, I just now thought of this. I think we could probably pick another winner in this Super Bowl game, and that is the fans. Because you know why?
Why?
Because we did not hear. Now here's a guy.
Right. Now I tell you what, here's a guy that runs around and oh my goodness, he slips on the field. By the way, that field in Arizona is pitiful.
Oh yeah, that turf field needs to go.
I bet John Madden's looking down from the heavens going, are you serious?
A smart coach would choose a grass field.
Come on, you really got to pick this stadium. A smart coach would pick this play.
Try this play out.
Come on, kick the extra point. Come on now, don't doink it.
Oh my lord!
Only what's his name? Brett Maher's known for doing that. Oh, did I say that? Yep, I did. Sorry, Dallas.
Well, we better go ahead and switch topics. We could be talking about this for another hour.
Absolutely. And before we move on again, folks, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @ON_sports show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. Also, where we are live right now on YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And also don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner. Everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it is at The Nation's Corner. And coming up this Saturday, folks, at a special start time of 6 Eastern, 5 Central, 3 p.m. Pacific time, the Nation's Corner will be live talking about Elimination Chamber coming up this Saturday.
Elimination Chamber, Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Yeah, boy.
Elimination Chamber. Oh, that's gonna be a great show on Saturday, highlighted by Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship.
Oh, and I gotta say real quick, is even though we are a sports show, I gotta give props to those last two promos in back-to-back weeks. The first one with Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman, and then the one Monday night with Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. Oh my gosh.
They had me invested. I'm hooked. Send me my money. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm good.
Those have definitely been the best promos of 2023, hands down.
Yep. Anyways, moving on, folks. Before we can move on to the NBA, we had such an awesome time. Myself, Ezra, Joey, and Kevin, and Randy breaking down the National Football League for the year 2022 in the 23's postseason. This was a lot of fun. And folks, we will be back in the fall with our NFL coverage for 23-24, going into our scoring predictions, and that will be a lot of fun. But that is yet to happen until we get to the late part of the summer into the fall. And moving on right now into the NBA. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Hang on. I will say real quick, Even though the NFL is done, football itself is not done
No, it's not.
because we have the XFL owned by the only Dwayne The Rock Johnson kicking off this upcoming Saturday afternoon. And then in April, we have another edition of the USFL coming up. So football is not over, guys. I mean, yes, it's not the NFL, but it's still football nonetheless.
Exactly. And I hope that The Rock can carry the XFL to success final and get that league off the ground, officially and legitimize it. And I know in him he will. And again, folks, football for the NFL is over, but it's not over because the XFL and the USFL are going to be getting underway, starting with the XFL this Saturday on the 18th. And like Joey just said, the USFL in the month of April. And with that being said, we move on to the NBA. And oh boy, there is
Kevin Durant blockbuster trade.
NBA trade deadline came and went. And oh, by the way, Kevin Durant goes to the Phoenix Suns, and the Brooklyn Nets have officially blown it up.
And I think one certain Kevin Roy is going to have some thoughts on this blockbuster trade. So, Kevin, I know you've been quiet for a while, so for right now, the floor is yours, brother.
Take it away, bro.
Man, I just think Phoenix got a lot better, and they got a lot better. I think they might be the favorite to win it all and give Chris Paul finally a championship. But Brooklyn are the complete losers of this because this past offseason, KD requested trade. Yep. You were asking for the house to be sent back for the trade. Now, all of a sudden, I remember when Phoenix inquired about Durant in the offseason, Brooklyn wanted Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, 4 first-round picks, and 3 second-round picks. And Phoenix was tempting, and they're like, nah, I don't want to do all that. Basically gave up everything except Devin Booker. Now, in the trade, all they gave up was Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. If that is not a win, like they literally kept DeAndre Ayton, kept a true point guard in Chris Paul, kept Devin Booker, kept all their first round pick. I'm baffled that Brooklyn just desperately shipped Durant off without. I mean, Durant's had 4 years on his contract. They could have tried to find a deal somewhere else, but they just desperately gave him up. Said, "Fuck it, we give up. We give up." Now they're trying to trade Ben Simmons, and according to Adrian Wojnarowski, Ben Simmons has no trade value. Someone wouldn't trade a bologna and cheese sandwich for him at this point in his career. So Brooklyn's just gonna cut him, but Phoenix got a lot better, and at least on paper, they should be the favorites for the conference. Like I don't think the Grizzlies really have a fucking shot of competing with Kevin Durant, a guy that's 7 foot who can one of the best pure scorers in league history when he's healthy, or Devin Booker or Chris Paul. I think the Suns team is going to be a huge problem come April and May. And Brooklyn's going to stink. Let's just call that what it is. I almost feel bad for Mikal Bridges because he's got to go to that fucking shit show that's up there in Brooklyn. But there's so many other trades. It's so hard to keep up with what happened in the NBA. There's so many deals that went down. People going back to their old teams. John Wall leaves the Rockets, goes to the Clippers, gets traded back to the Rockets. What the fuck is going on? And
Wall was going, yay, I'm on a championship contender team.
And then it's worth noting, and I'd like to speak on this topic for just a second. It's worth noting that the Lakers finally traded Russell Westbrook to the Utah Jazz in a 3-team trade and picked up D'Angelo Russell. Out of all the guys they wanted, you want Kyrie, you want Durant, you get D'Angelo Russell. Congratulations, Lakers. You're going to fucking suck it up again. You don't get nobody. The one positive player you have, Thomas Bryant, you trade him. That's the one positive the Lakers had was Thomas Bryant, and they traded him. Kobe Bryant is rolling over in his grave saying, "My little cousin, Thomas Bryant, you gave away." What? The Lakers got a lot worse. And you know what? I'm sick of this narrative. I clown about Russell Westbrook shooting a lot because it's basically pure fucking horrible. But Westbrook has always been that way. It's just, when are we going to give some accountability to Rob Pelinka? When is LeBron going to take accountability? Jenny Bucks.
Never.
Like, you guys know this wasn't a fit. You got to know LeBron can't shoot. You need shooters around LeBron, and you get Westbrook, and then you try to use Westbrook as a scapegoat as, oh, it's his fault. He can't shoot like we wanted. Why'd you pick him up in the first place? You know he can't shoot. And I almost feel bad because people on a nightly basis, especially LeBron fans, they shit on Westbrook's character. And he's one of the nicest, genuine family guys that you can ever meet. Like, he's not out in the streets like John Morant acting like some kind of wannabe gangster. He's a family man. And I don't understand because he doesn't shoot like they want him to when that's not his game. You shit on his character. That's not okay. I just hope Russell Westbrook, I'm actually rooting for him to go to a team that doesn't need shooting, like Los Angeles Clippers, stay in the LA area and tear the fucking Lakers up. I hope he goes there with Kawhi and Paul George, because that's all the shooting they need is in them too. I hope he goes to a team like that. I'll tell you another team I can see him playing for where he can look pretty good too, and that's the New Orleans Pelicans, because he's got Kevin Cullum and Brandon Ingram. And if Zion ever lay off the Krispy Kreme donuts and drop down to about 250 instead of 375, he might be healthy enough to play. There's plenty of teams he can go that are contenders that I can definitely see Russell Westbrook joining. And I tell you another one I'd like to see him on too, who doesn't need shooting, but it's unlikely because of the guard depth. But I can see him on the Boston Celtics.
Sure.
They need a point guard. Their point guard is Marcus Smart, who, I mean, he's essentially not even a point guard. I would consider bringing Westbrook in to start in that position and let Marcus Smart be your guy on the perimeter. I mean, that's just, there's options, man. Westbrook's not done. I'm tired of the narrative because he can't shoot. There's so many other players who can't shoot, quote unquote, that still are successful. I mean, that's why you got to say it's not many, but there's still some guys who can't shoot that are still successful. I mean, it's not many thanks to Steph Curry. He kind of ruined the NBA. Now your centers have to shoot threes now to be able to score 170 points.
Yep.
But yeah, Lakers just shitted on Westbrook, and I hope they get every kind of karma they get coming to them, because they done him dirty.
Think about that. The Los Angeles Lakers had this big four in Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. And let me tell you something. It went absolutely nowhere. It was terrible. It went nowhere. Terrible. And Kev, you're absolutely right. No matter how much we clown on Russell Westbrook is a hell of a player. Russell Westbrook used to be a pretty good jump shooter, but as the years went on, he's become more of a driver.
Yep.
He's become more of a driver to the basket, and he's not become primarily a jump shooter. That's just not his game. He's not a great free throw shooter like he used to be. He's not a great jump shooter like he used to be. He used to be a pretty good mid-range jump shooter, but not no more. Pretty pretty eye-opening. You know, that Russell Westbrook, you know, he gets the short end of the stick, and he gets shitted on by the team that brought him in there. And what do they do with him? Nothing.
But you know, it's also going to be a pretty good weekend for the NBA, because we have NBA All-Star Weekend taking place over the weekend coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, we do, in Salt Lake City.
Yep, and I happen to have, in case you guys need a refresher, I happen to have the slam dunk participants and our three-point shooter participants.
All right.
For the slam dunk contest, we have Trey Murphy III from the Pelicans, Kenyon Martin Jr. from the Houston Rockets, Mac McClung from the Philadelphia 76ers, and Jericho Sims from the New York Knicks.
All right.
And we have quite a star-studded three-point competition. We have Anthony Simmons from the Portland Trailblazers, Tyrese Halliburton from the Indiana Pacers, Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat, Utah's own Lauri Markkanen,
All right.
Kevin Huerter from the Sacramento Kings, Buddy Hield from the Indiana Pacers, and the two biggest names in this three-point competition, Jason Tatum from the Boston Celtics and Damian Lillard from
Oh,
the
my.
Trailblazers.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, we got a star-studded field in the three-point competition. And, of course, it's all going to come to an end Sunday night when Team LeBron goes up against Team Giannis.
You know what? I'm so sick of the All-Star Saturday night. It's getting ridiculous now. Back in the day, you used to see the top-notch stars doing it, but looking at the dunk contest competitors, like it's a joke, dude. Like, why? Who wouldn't want to see an All-Star dunk contest featuring Ja Morant, Prime LeBron, Zion Williamson, guys like that, Gary Payton, somebody who can jump out the gym, who's had posters of dunks. Nobody wants to see these jabronis, these guys who barely came out the G League. Mac McClung, with all due respect, he was on the fucking G League team half of the year this year for the Warriors, and we released him. Why is he a prime contestant for the dunk contest? I remember back in the day watching Kobe Bryant battle Carter, like Hall of Fame players. Nowadays, you get Hall of Fame high school players in the damn dunk contest who shouldn't even be in the damn league. It's a joke, dude. It's about like the NFL Pro Bowl. It's just a joke.
Yeah, but I will say, though, Kenyon Martin Jr., being the son of Kenyon Martin, who threw down some good dunks back when he played for the New Jersey Nets, I mean, that's a little bit of star power, but, yeah, you're not really asking for much in this.
It ain't good enough. Sorry.
It ain't adding up. I'm telling you one thing, though, and I'm sure you, Steven, can agree with me on this, and I'm sure Kevin can agree with me on this. Other than Michael Jordan, of course, I think one of the best dunkers in the game who won multiple slam dunk competitions, might I add, is the one, the only, Nate Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in 2006 when he dunked over Spud Webb. I mean, oh, gosh.
Yes.
That was the best. And
Blake Griffin used to be in the dunk contest.
Yeah, when he jumped over a car.
Yep.
And, of course, you cannot forget about back when he was on the Minnesota Timberwolves, Zach LaVine. Oh, gosh. Him. I will never forget that slam dunk contest finals matchup between Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. My Lord.
That was good.
Those two left it all on. Those two left it all on.
Wade was his infamous 9 score.
Yep.
And he's the ultimate hater. You don't get a 10, you get a 9.
Wade said, that's great, but it's not a 10 great. Come on.
Hey, you know what? It's funny. No, let me change course and say something funny real quick. The Bulls have been kind of struggling this season, as we know.
Right.
Sorry, Ezra.
Just all fun and games. It pokes fun and games, and no offense to Ezra, but this is so funny. They asked Shaq and Charles Barkley on TNT. They said, "What do the Bulls need to do to get competitive?" Shaq speaks up in hilarious fashion and says, "MJ and Pippen." And Charles Barkley says you might want to add Dennis Rodman too.
Hey, speaking of MJ,
terrible.
Speaking of MJ, we are just 2 days away from MJ celebrating birthday number 60.
Yes, we are.
MJ's going to be 60 years old this upcoming Friday, so happy early birthday, MJ.
Yes.
You
Happy
are,
birthday
have
to
been,
his.
and all you are, have been, and always will be the GOAT.
And also, real quick, while we're on the birthday topic, shout outs to our video guy, the guy who puts these videos together for our Nation Sports Show and for the Nation's Corner, Hijacker Mike, is celebrating a birthday today on February the 15th. So from all of us here,
happy birthday, Hijacker.
So from all of us here on the Sports Show crew and the Nation's Corner crew, we say happy birthday to the man who hijacks better than the hijacker did in WWE, Hijacker Mike.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday. Just don't let them dubs stress you out too much, because they've been stressing me out pretty hard over the last couple of weeks.
Yep. And also want to give a shout out to Ashley, who was at the Chiefs parade today with her kids, watching Mahomes and Kelsey do their thing, celebrating.
Kelsey take shots of liquor. Them fans were passing him little mini shots, and he was just catching them and drink, tipping it up. It was you think it was a bar out there. Shout out Travis Kelsey, man.
Travis Kelsey is a hoot, man. I love that dude.
He brought back the 2009 stanky leg to the Super Bowl in his touchdown celebration. So it's back to 2009.
He is a class act, man.
I texted Ashley. I said he needs to be in wrestling, and I was laughing my ass off. I was like, he needs to be in wrestling because that's how entertaining Travis Kelsey is. Like, he is just.
Think, and you got to think back. You've seen various posts on Facebook about this. Travis Kelsey emerged as a walk-on for the University of Cincinnati. He wasn't even offered a scholarship. He was a walk-on, and look where he is now.
Mm-hmm. I think you got that one mixed up, Joey. That's Jason Kelsey. That was the walk-on.
I thought it was Travis that was a walk-on. I thought I saw Travis was a walk-on.
Jason was a quarterback, and he moved to offensive line.
Oh.
Yeah, it was Jason Kelsey. Speaking of that, I want to bring a touching moment that actually really it was nice, man. Jason Kelsey, the Kelsey's got the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He went on the podcast after the Super Bowl. He said, man, after we left the game, I'm hurt we didn't win, but you know what? I was crying. But I wasn't crying tears of sadness. I was crying tears of joy. You know why, Travis? He said, why? He said, because Mama won. Our mom won. Like that. It was their week. It was Mom and Dad's week, and we gave them the best thing they could have asked for. That's a win in my book. I said, man,
you can't ask for a better class act than that. Like
him and Travis Kelsey, man. I'd like to see Travis Kelsey in WWE with George Kittle. They'd make a great tag team.
Yes.
George Kittle with a Stone Cold shirt. Stone Cold Kittle.
I dig it though. Travis Kelsey was a red shirt, not a walk-on. That's my fault.
Yeah, Travis was a red shirt.
That's my fault.
Yep, but yeah, I mean,
Travis would be cutting the promos and when it's telling people to know their role, and then George Kittle would be he'd be the wrestler.
Stone Cold. Yeah.
He gives people counters.
Yes.
Yep. I mean, like, folks, the off season is just beginning, we were talking about like, because the Chiefs have all this cap space. They have all these moves that they can do whatever they want. They can sign whoever they want because they have $60 million free of cap space. They can go after a top number one receiver if they wanted to. They can get whoever they want because they have all the cap space to do so.
Yeah.
They can get anybody.
Like Kevin mentioned in the pre-show and earlier on in the show, it would be nice if the Chiefs could make a deal with Arizona to get DeAndre Hopkins to have him be the number one receiver.
Absolutely.
That could be a really good pickup for Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interested to see how draft night's going to go down later on this year because there's a lot of speculation about the Colts trading up for that number one overall pick. I don't know, man. They'd have to give up a lot. The Bears don't necessarily need that number one pick. They're playing with house money. They're not drafting a quarterback. They're drafting a defensive end or a defensive tackle.
That's where I agree with you, Kev.
In the first round.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Kev, because if the Colts can somehow get that number one pick, they're going to go for a quarterback. They're going
We
to.
all know, I mean, basically, whoever wants a quarterback is competing with the Texans, saying, okay, look, but to me, I wouldn't pick Bryce Young at number one overall to give up that much for someone that's just a raw talent. I wouldn't do it.
Right, and I agree.
Giving up a lot of cap. The Bears can get a lot by trading that one pick. Like I said, if they trade down with the Colts at number 4, I meant Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Brian Brees, guys like that, interior D-line and pass rushers, they're all available. Miles Murphy, all available. Like, they can pick one of them and be okay and get first next year and get draft capital this year. The Bears are in a good spot. So shout out to Ezra and the Bears. They're in a pretty good spot having that number one pick. They can do what they want and be okay.
Better than the Packers. Just saying.
Yeah, the Packers go spend their fucking first round pick on a quarterback they don't use in years. Fucking 3 years ain't used their quarterback they drafted in the first round because Aaron Rodgers somewhere stuck with no power doing crack. Holy crap. Someone cut the lights on.
Hey, hello, Aaron. We're looking for you. Sorry, the lights are on, but no one's home.
Oh, yeah, he's due to start his darkness retreat in just a few days, so
He's in the dark stealing catalytic converters. That's what he's doing.
That begs the question, like, is Aaron going to get traded to the Jets? And honestly, dude, speaking of the Jets, I just thought about this right off the top of my head. Not only did they get Nathaniel Hackett a few weeks ago, but you want to talk about the greatest nightmare descending upon the Jets? Not only is Nathaniel Hackett there, but Todd Downing is also there as well. Welcome to hell, Jets.
But I will say this, though, as we're pushing time, I will say this. Derek Carr being released is what's going to start the free agency market open because he wasn't technically a free agent and he was released. He can sign a deal at any point before the free agency period begins.
Sure can.
He can sign tomorrow. So where he signs will dictate like a lot of quarterback situations, like where Jimmy G will sign, what happens with Aaron Rodgers, what happens with Ryan Tannehill, what happens with Geno Smith, guys like that. Like, it's going to dictate a lot. I'm thinking the New Orleans Saints, because what I'm thinking happened is even if they wanted to make a trade, they couldn't afford Carr's $40 million they would have owed. So what I think Carr did was demand his release, say he was going to refuse a trade so he can sign on with New Orleans at a cheaper rate. That way New Orleans can afford him. I think he ends up in New Orleans.
It's actually a smart call there. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Derek Carr winds up with New Orleans.
I just
wonder what Ron Rivera is going to do with Washington because
right.
He's done said that Sam Howell is going to be the number one quarterback, but I expect us to be in the hunt for a veteran. I mean, I would like to see us get Jimmy G if possible. I really would. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Right. I mean, Derek Carr is just making it seem like it's New Orleans because they can't even afford a bag of Funyuns. So if he signs, he would have to sign for a clearance deal, so to speak, to be able to play with them because they are in a cap chokehold right now with guys like Kamara and Michael Thomas. They need to release Michael Thomas is what I heard they were going to do.
He's injury prone.
Yeah, he's injury prone. He ain't
got rid of him. You got your number one guy now. Fuck Michael Thomas.
Yes, go away.
Yeah, they got Chris Olave, so that's all they need right now.
And they still got what's his face? The tight end guy. Taysom Hill. Thank you. Yeah, Taysom. I had a brain flow. Taysom Hill. They still got Taysom Hill. And real quick, too, San Francisco, I think we touched upon this. Yeah, I think we did. Steve Wilkes is now the new defensive coordinator of the San Francisco.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week.
Yeah, we did touch upon that last week. That's
real quick while we're pushing time, too. The way too early predictions for Super Bowl odds for next year are already out. Number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. Surprise. The number 2, San Francisco 49ers.
Oh,
Cincinnati Bengals.
interesting.
Number 4, the Buffalo Bills. Number 5, the Detroit Lions. And number 6, the Philadelphia Eagles.
What?
Wow.
Detroit number 5?
That's insane. And Miami's at 7.
That's unbelievable.
Hey, shout out to them, man. They building something special. I'm excited to see what they do in the first round of the draft, too. They got the number 6 overall pick from the Rams.
And Detroit has nothing to lose.
I heard they might trade down and go after the receiver from TCU.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, but was Dallas at number 32 in those Super Bowl ratings?
And I think Dallas did not qualify.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Dallas.
I'm so sorry about that, Dallas.
What kid will say?
Not.
I'd rather have Nick Bosa to put Prescott on his ass. Kelly Clarkson said too soon, George, too soon.
That was the one exception to the NFL honors song parodies of Kelly Clarkson's that I will make exception of. That George Kittle was on that stage last week and he was hilarious.
I don't know. I like Kirk Cousins' parody too about when Tom Brady's retiring. Like, since you've been gone, I can finally win one. You like Kirk Cousins one though. That was pretty. Icy Kirk had all them chains on his neck. Still choking in primetime games, though.
Oh, but Lord, how about the NFL Valentine's Day cards that were sent out?
Did Dallas get any of them?
Drama on Twitter.
Yeah.
Aw.
Oh, but I think the best one that I remember seeing was of Calvin Ridley. I can't remember the quote that it had on the card, but at the bottom of the card it said, "This card is sponsored by DraftKings."
Hey, quick note here, guys. I'm glad you said Calvin Ridley because today he officially filed to be reinstated by the NFL and Roger Goodell to be able to play this season. So
and he'll be joining Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars if he gets approved.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence has another weapon.
Yep.
As long as he stops gambling. I mean, he don't need to play for DraftKings.
As long as he stops gambling.
You're playing for Duval, not DraftKings. Calm down, big fella.
Calm down, big fella. Calm down.
Calm it down and go back down to Duval and play with Trevor Lawrence Sunshine and let him throw you some touchdown passes.
That's right.
Now, not Atlanta.
Right.
Oh, real quick, another stat real quick. I want you to find out that Jalen Hurts, or crazy thing is the Eagles are the only other team in the Super Bowl era to blow a halftime deficit. The only other team that did that was the Atlanta Falcons and Matt Ryan. Coincidentally enough, Matt Ryan is from Philadelphia. Oh, how
Poor Matt Ryan.
How it circles around. Matt Ryan can't escape the blown leads. He even brought it onto the Philadelphia franchise, as all Philadelphia sports teams almost have choked and lost in the finals or championship games. At least you don't expect to see the fucking 76ers there. That's a plus.
Whoa there.
They'll have a better shot getting into the finals as long as James Harden's not flippy flopping around, And
the Cowboys might have a better shot of winning a playoff game than James Harden does.
For once, I actually do agree with that, with your Dallas assessment.
Yeah.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh man, we can keep going on and going on and going on, but we're pretty much out of time. But with that being said, any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, I do want to say before we get to each of our final thoughts, the news broke yesterday that star player for the Washington Capitals, Alex Ovechkin, was taking some time away from the team to be with his family. Well, we just found out earlier today that it was Mikhail Ovechkin, Alex Ovechkin's father, who tragically passed away today at the age of 71. So everyone here at our Nation Sports Show, we send our hearts, prayers, and condolences to the Ovechkin family during this tough time.
That's right. It's unfortunate, with this happening, and I don't blame the guy for taking time off, Oh, real quick, That's totally left my mind. We were talking about the NBA trade deadline. Kev, you talked about this in our sports show chat on Facebook. The Trailblazers are in some serious trouble.
Oh, yes.
Yep, they don't take injuries lightly. And Gary Payton, they did not. They failed to mention the injury to Gary Payton, how he re-aggravated a core and muscle injury that he sustained in the offseason this past year after winning a championship with the Warriors. After he signed his deal, had off-season surgery, came back in January, 1st of January, and kind of re-aggravated it. And they failed to report that, and they forced him to play through pain-killing shots and Toradol shots and steroid shots, and didn't report it during the trade. And I think they're going to be stripped of some draft picks and probably fined a bunch of money, a bunch of big bucks too.
That's right. And the Trailblazers are going to be in some serious trouble with that, if that happens. And, karma got you.
However, the trade did go through because, Bob Myers and Golden State basically said, look, I'm going to pass the physical because we really want him for playoff time. We want him at the end of the year. So we could deal with him being out a month. Till March, and let's reevaluate him. Let him come back, and we need his defense for the playoffs. That's it. So we'll be fine with continuing on because Wiseman wasn't cutting it, and he needs a new start somewhere else. And Golden State needs perimeter defense. So they say, you know what? We'll do it. Fuck it, we'll do it.
They'll do what they got to do to get their start, one of their star benchmen back in Gary Payton II. He was a hell of an acquisition.
He was a good, big reason they won that chip last year. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
his defense and his playmaking and his dunks too. That guy can fly.
Mm-hmm. He's got that defensive genius from his father, Gary Payton.
Daddy, yep, Gary Payton, the glove and baby glove.
Mm-hmm.
And he got the baby glove.
Yep. And I'm glad that I remember that before we went off the air. And I think we have officially covered everything that we wanted to cover here today. And any final thoughts, guys, as far as any more topics, or you guys are good?
I'm good.
Kev?
I'm good as the Dallas Cowboys lost. I'm good.
All righty, then. I couldn't have said it any better myself, my friends. And had an awesome time with you guys talking about the Super Bowl, giving our final analysis of the 2022 NFL regular season, talking about the epic win by the Kansas City Chiefs over the Philadelphia Eagles, 38-35 in Super Bowl 57. Mahomes, in our opinion, has put himself in the top 5 of the best quarterbacks of all time with this second Super Bowl championship, his 5th overall conference championship game in his career, his 3rd Super Bowl in the last 4 years, 2nd chip in 4 years, 2-time MVP during the regular season, 2-time Super Bowl MVP during the Super Bowl, and also officially he breaks the curse of the first quarterback since Kurt Warner to be the league MVP and a Super Bowl champion in the same season. And by the way, before we go off the air, I couldn't go away without mentioning this stat. Mahomes' total yards in a season. He broke that record with the most total rushing and passing yards to win a Super Bowl in the same season. So Mahomes is officially in the history books all by himself. And again, we believe strongly that he is the best quarterback of his generation, no questions asked. The championships, the accolades that he already has, and he's only 27 years old. And congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs winning Super Bowl 57 against the Philadelphia Eagles and one of the best Super Bowls of all time. Again, the final score 38-35. We had an awesome time this year talking about the NFL all season long, from the preseason, making our predictions on who was going to go to the postseason, who was going to win each division, and then during the regular season, laughing it up, joking it up, having a good time, giving our score predictions on every single regular season game, recapping all the action, and then also deep into the playoffs, recapping all the playoff games. giving our predictions. We crowned our very first NFL pick segment champion during the regular year in our very own Kevin Rory. And he will be defending that illustrious title up in the fall in September when football officially starts. And again, folks, the Chiefs will face the Bills, the Bengals, and the Eagles in the 23-24 season. And we can guarantee this, folks. They will face either one of these three teams to kick off the 2023-24 National Football League season. And folks, it's been an awesome time in the fall, into the winter, talking about the NFL season, the playoffs, and the Super Bowl. And now, talking about the NBA, NCAA college basketball is coming up in a couple of weeks with the tournament on March the 18th. Baseball is going to be starting up here very soon. Spring training is getting underway, and all that good stuff. The NHL is still hot and heavy in their season, marching on to the Stanley Cup playoffs in the spring. And we're going to continue covering the world of sports as we do best. What we love to do is talking about sports in front of y'all. Also sprinkling a little wrestling here and there. And again, folks, don't forget to watch the Nation's Corner this Saturday at a special start time of 6 Eastern, 5 Central, 3 p.m. Pacific time, as the guys and gal talk about Elimination Chamber, live from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, highlighted by Sami Zayn taking on Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And the road to WrestleMania is getting hot and heavy, folks. And for the past couple of weeks, WWE has been knocking it out of the park with these promos with Cody Rhodes, with Paul Heyman last week, and then this week, coming full circle with Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes having a hell of a promo in the middle of that ring. And it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes heading into WrestleMania in a couple of weeks. I mean, because somehow, some way, WWE every single week has been connecting the dots with this bloodline story, adding Cody into the mix. And WWE is just doing a great job with their storytelling and all of that good stuff. And again, folks, don't forget to watch the Nation's Corner this Saturday at a special start time of 6 Eastern, 5 Central, 3 p.m. Pacific time, as Tony Justice, Deb Housen, Mongrovian Mike, and Front Row talk about all things professional wrestling, WWE, AEW, Impact, Mission Pro, whatever the hell the guys and gal decide to talk about, they do, because that's what they do on the Nation's Corner. And what we do is talk about all things sports in the NFL, NBA, MLB, college basketball, college football, UFC, you name it. We love what we do because that's what we do. I love my brothers on this show. I love Ezra, Randy, Kevin, Joey. I love doing the show with you guys. We're a great group of friends. We love busting each other's balls. We love shooting the shit on sports, on music, on wrestling, whatever we decide to talk about on this show, sprinkling a little wrestling, a little music. But as of right now, we are out of time. And folks, it was an awesome show once again with all of you guys tonight, recapping our final game of the 2022 NFL season, Super Bowl 57 in Phoenix. Again, the final score, Kansas City 38, Philadelphia 35. Patrick Mahomes taking home his second Lombardi trophy and his second MVP of the Super Bowl. And he officially becomes the 7th quarterback to win a Super Bowl championship and a league MVP in the same season. And with that being said, again, folks, we had a great time tonight. We will be back at our regular time next week on the 21st on Tuesday night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And once again, folks, from all of us here on the Sports Show crew, the Nation's Corner crew, happy birthday to our video editor guy who does all the videos for us, doing all the sound effects, the music, all of that stuff that you hear on the Nation's Corner and the Sports Show. Happy birthday, Hijacker Mike. And with that being said, we're out of here. We are done for the night. And with that being said, for K-Rod, Kevin Rory, for JT, Joey Thornton, for Ezra, for Randy, For me, your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand. We love you guys out there in sports land. We will be back next Tuesday at our regular scheduled time on Tuesday night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific time, as we continue our coverage of the world of sports. Again, same time, same channel next week. Had an awesome time tonight recapping the Super Bowl, NBA, NFL, and whatever the hell we decide to talk about. So with that being said, again, for K-Rock, Kevin Rory, JT, Joey Thornton, I have been your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand, and we will see you next week for another outstanding edition of our Nation Sports Show. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the weekend. Peace.
Yeah.